In the last video, I talked about different sedimentological lab techniques, and I had given more stress on characterization of shale, how different properties or petrophysical properties of shale can be identified by using various lab techniques such as thin section analysis, XRD, and determination of porosity and permeability from core plugs, and SEM scanning electron microscopy. Apart from that, there are various other techniques which involve use of BET theory, uh, where N2 gas adsorption is utilized to find the surface area and pore throat of these rocks. And there are many more techniques. As I told you previously, that the data is vast. You have to limit your methodology based on your requirement. So apart from those, there is one more thing, which is borehole sedimentology, that I wanted to discuss with you, which is closely associated with the oil and gas exploration and production. So borehole sedimentology is nothing but the study of sedimentary rocks within the well bore, which is drilled for extraction of oil and gas. So as you know, when we drill for a well, uh, may it be a tube well for bringing the groundwater to the surface, or a well bore for production of oil and gas, the subsurface rocks which are being cut by the drill bit need to be brought on the surface. And I'll discuss this in detail when we go to the application of sedimentology in petroleum, which is a separate topic in your syllabus. But for now, I'll just tell you that these rock cuttings are brought to the surface, and these cuttings are observed under microscope, and the examination and description of the rock cuttings is useful in preparation of litholog. And then this litholog is compared with other geophysical log data. So apart from the direct information that you're getting from the rock cuttings, you have information obtained about the subsurface layers from different wireline logs like SP log, gamma ray log, resistivity log, neutron density, sonic, and all the data is combined and correlated to prepare a final interpretation. So in the next slide, I'll just give you a brief of the sedimentary, the rig structure and how these cuttings are brought to the surface. Now this is the illustration of a rig, an oil rig, and you can see the subsurface equipments and other related information. I'm not going to go into the details of this because we are going to discuss this in detail when we go to the application of sedimentology in petroleum industry, which is a separate topic in your syllabus. For now, I'm just going to tell you that the drill cuttings are brought from the bottom of the well to the surface, and these cuttings are studied in the laboratory at the surface, which is called as a mud logging unit in oil and gas industry. This mud logging unit, which is shown on the left hand side, it is movable and it is transported from one side to other side, and it consists of various equipments. For example, you can see here the microscope, and the samples which are brought on the surface are cleaned and separated by following certain procedure, and these samples are observed under the microscope like this. You can see a picture here. So this microscopic observation is different than the thin section analysis. In thin section, we prepare a thin transparent layer of rock which is cut from the host rock, and it is studied under the microscope. Whereas in this sedimentological study in mud logging unit, we take the rock, the crushed rock, the grinded rock which is brought to the surface, we clean it and then observe these rock cuttings under the microscope. So that is the difference. So the procedure involves collection of drill cuttings received from the bottom or from the subsurface, then cleaning of these cuttings, and after cleaning these cuttings are observed under the microscope. Then you have to describe the drill cuttings, then you have to find out the lithology or if there are any fossils, and also find out the porosity and permeability of the drilled formation. So these are important points and you can go through the remaining points also. So this is how it looks. I have shown you previously also. The rock fragments or chips you can observe under the microscope. It is not an intact rock since you have already crushed it with the help of bit. And finally, the data received is plotted in the form of litholog. So previously also I have discussed this concept of litholog and how it is prepared. Some of you had asked me queries related to this, so I'll try to explain this again today. Now see, what happens is, suppose you start receiving drill cuttings for the depth of 500 meters. So this we'll call as 500, and from 500 to 700 meters you are receiving the same type of rock. You are receiving the drill cuttings which belong to the same type of rock, and for example here it is shale. So shale has small grain size, and based on that, against depth, this axis is grain size. So you can see here clay, silt, very fine sand, then fine sand, medium sand and coarse sand. So based on the type of drill cuttings you are receiving, you mark it on the depth axis. So this portion indicates presence of shale from 500 to 700 meters. Then after 700 to 900 meters or maybe 800 meters, you receive another type of rock which is ferruginized ironstone, which has greater grain size. So the grain size marked here will be higher. Then from 800 to say 1000, you receive another type of sedimentary rock which has slightly smaller grain size but greater than clay. It is in the range of sand. So you mark it something like this. So afterwards you have this litholog which gives you a picture of borehole lithology starting from the top to the bottom, and this data is later on can be compared with other wireline data and further interpretations can be derived. Now one more thing is that you need to remember here is, it is not necessary that within a single formation, like for example this, the grain size remains constant. It is possible that the grain size goes on increasing in upward direction when there is a gradational contact. If the contact between two different formations is not sharp, you might get to see upward increasing grain size, or it is also possible that you see upward decreasing grain size, something like this. Okay, so this is a bell shape and this becomes inverted bell shape. Okay, or the one which is represented here is block shape. So different shapes obtained from the grain size variation indicate or give information about the depositional environments, and you cannot interpret the environment based on the grain size data from single formation. You have to take whole picture. For example, I'll show you in the next slide. Now this is an example of Bauma sequence as it is written on the top, Bauma divisions. Now this Bauma sequence is formed as a result of deposition by turbidity currents. I hope you know what are turbidity currents. These are usually formed on the continental slope when large quantity of sediments are transported along the continental slope to be deposited at the abyssal plain or close to the abyssal plain. So the contacts are erosional, as you can see here. The contact is erosional, which is shown here, contact between the floor, the ocean floor, and this turbidity floor deposits. Then you get to see the coarsest sediment above this, because the intensity is maximum initially where you get deposition of coarse material, and as the velocity goes on decreasing, as the intensity of flow goes on decreasing, finer and finer sediments are deposited. So this coarse conglomerate or basal layer is overlain by laminated sand. Then you get to see sand with cross bedding here, then with further decreasing velocity and vanning of energy, laminations are formed and mud on the top. And you can observe this grain size variation here in this scale. On x-axis, the grain size is decreasing in upward direction with depth. So this is how the grain size variation can be utilized in identification of any environment. Apart from the grain size and the depth, you can also show different types of sedimentary structures in the litholog, and there are various symbols which are used as a norm, and that can be of great help in representation of these lithologs. So this is all about the laboratory techniques. Next time we'll begin with the new topic.